Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing the Incredible Hulk coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. This is one of 6 B&M sit-downs, and I get it, floorlesses are marketable and whatever, but yeah, give us more of these. I don't care. As long as you don't put vests on them. So, we're going to start off with the presentation, because this is one of the greatest looking rides I've seen, and it really starts right out of the gate. Once you get into the park, you just see all this huge B&M track flying over you, the zero G roll, Cobra roll, vertical loop, everything's just surrounding you on that bridge. It's really nice looking over that water. You've got the Hulk holding up the old piece of track. When you get into the entrance, the whole queue line looks like this huge lab, and I wouldn't think I'd really like a science lab type feel, but you know what? It works. It really does. You do have to put your phone and everything in a locker, but they are free. So yeah, overall, just everything leading up to the ride is exceptional. It truly is. So once you get into the ride, you're going to sit down, pull over your over-the-shoulder restraints. You know, these could be better, but at the same time, they could be vests. So yeah, you definitely do get a bit of room to pop out of your seat on these. And yeah, you're going to start out of the station, and you're going to notice the onboard audio starts right away. You've got the audio playing over you, like telling you about this whole experiment with the Hulk, and eventually the Hulk roars and like shoots you out. But for the start of it, it feels like a normal lift hill. Like if you were a GP, you'd probably just think this is a normal lift hill. But obviously, we're thuzies, so we know it's going to launch, but they did a pretty good job of like hiding exactly when it was going to launch, because I didn't watch many POVs of like trying to memorize what the launch pattern was, because, you know, like I want a bit of anticipation. So yeah, all this onboard audio is playing, you're getting hyped up, the lights are flashing in the tunnel, and all of a sudden, Hulk roars. And oh my god, this launch is powerful. I think this is my 4th or 5th favorite launch period. I'm debating this and Maverick, but to be honest, I think this is better than Maverick's. The presentation and just the sheer power and aggressiveness of this launch makes it truly one of the best of all time. It's undescribable, my shock and awe when I first experienced this launch, because I expected Lightning Rod's launch, which is a good launch. I think it's underrated, but, well, it doesn't really exist anymore. But anyways, yeah, when it did exist, it was underrated, but it was like a barely top 10 launch. But oh my god, this tire-driven one, it's nothing like Lightning Rod's. It is stupid how aggressive this thing just rockets you to the top of that tunnel. And you know, I think part of it is an uphill ascent, but still just oh my god, that power and that gut punch you feel just right out of the gate, especially me not memorizing the patterns. Like I was just completely shooken up by the time I got to the bottom of the first valley, especially since the element that comes right after that is the zero G roll, which is, in my opinion, easily the best inversion on a B&M. It is just bonkers. You think Kumba's Hell Roll is whippy? Oh my god, this thing delivers some of the most violent laterals you'll ever feel. You get popped out of your seat a bit, and yeah, you're just so shocked from that launch, and then out of nowhere, you're just hit with those laterals, and oh my god, that is handily a top 10 start to any ride. It's fantastic what it does to you at the start. After that, you're going to hit the valley. You're going to be wondering what just happened to you. The valleys on this ride are pretty intense, I'll say. Pretty much all of them feel pretty similar except for in the end, but yeah, they deliver some good Gs. And this first Cobra roll, it's really whippy. It feels a lot like Kumba's, which is one of my favorite parts of that ride. It's not quite Alpengeist's, but you know, it still definitely delivers some laterals and some positives. You then hit this vertical loop, and the Gs are so sustained on this. Oh my god. especially since you're going into the fog after it. You just have no sense of direction on this vertical loop. And the only thing really giving you any direction on this ride is the onboard audio, which I'd usually say would be a con, but I mean, it's onboard audio, and if you know this onboard audio, you know this onboard audio is fantastic. Like, I've learned the drum parts on this. I've listened to it a ton of times outside of Universal. It's fantastic. Go listen to it. But yeah, that's playing the entire time throughout this ride, and it really sets the pace for this aggressive coaster. So after you come out of the fog, you're going to hit this little helix, and it's a bit of a breather, but it doesn't matter too much just because the start was so insane. You're not going to really recover too much, which is good, because after that, you're going to hit a very violent corkscrew, and the sequencing on this ride is so bizarre for a B&M. When I first saw this layout, like years and years ago when I first was a Thuzy, I was so puzzled why B&M chose this sequencing of elements. And I gotta remember, this was like earlier before Gate Sleeper and Valravn and all that, but yeah, it's so weird compared to what they do now with their sequencing, because you got a corkscrew, and then you've got a second vertical loop. I mean, what other coaster other than Dragon Con does that? Like, for B&Ms at least. I think, off the top of my head, there's definitely something I'm missing, but Dragon Con and, well, Decepticoaster, but Dragon Con, Decepticoaster, and this are the only ones that have some random vertical loop thrown in there in the middle. It's so weird, but I like it. This is a really intense moment, and it keeps the pace going and going. And then you're going to pop up into a nice little turnaround, and the snap going down after this turnaround is actually really violent. You're going to get an itty-bitty pop in the back row, little pop of floater there. Head up into the mid-course, get some good positives there. And then this second half of the ride, or really the last quarter, is pretty weak. Kumba's second half is definitely way better than this. You'll get a smidge, and I mean a smidge of airtime. If you're in the back coming off of this mid-course, you're going to go through one corkscrew, which is pretty mid for a B&M, just your average B&M corkscrew pretty much, and then a bunch of random B&M twist and turns, and then hit the brakes. So yeah, it's a pretty uneventful second half, which is really a shame given how aggressive the start to this ride is. I'll take the first half on Hulk any day over the first half on Velocicoaster. I know, come for me in the comments, but if Hulk kept up that pace like it does in the first half, it would be a contender to be better than like all the mid-tier RMCs and everything, in my opinion. But it does have that weak second half, so it's not quite as high for me, but man, that first half is just so surprising, especially your first time on it. Especially since I just rode Kumba. I was impressed by it, but like I wasn't too over the moon about it. I didn't think it was like a contender for my favorite B&M, but just starting out of the gate with that launch and that 0G roll, going through that Cobra roll and the vertical loop, keeping that momentum, it truly shocked me. So for the Incredible Hulk's final score, I'm going to give it a 945 out of 1,000. It truly deserves it. This is my number 18 overall. Yes, over Fury 325. This is my second favorite B&M, only behind Pipeline, which does destroy it, but this is my second favorite B&M. It's better than Fury. I don't care. Come after me. Do whatever you have to do. It's that elite. So I will mention before I go, I only got like back row rides on this. I did not try it in the front, but I do suspect it could be better in the front just because of that whip you could get over that first inversion, but I don't care. B&Ms are usually better in the back, so I suspect everything except that first inversion will be better in the back. So that's why I didn't mention that earlier. So let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.